Hey guys, what is shaking? So listen, this is a little long overdue. I'm going to try and put this out as a little more of a mini pod than just answering a question. I feel bad because I should have thought this out before I started answering questions from this page. I reference a lot dark times that I've been through and bad times that I've been through. And I think that some people think that is 100% due to Parkinson's. That is not the case. And I don't want to scare people thinking it is. It's part of it. It's a decent part of it. But again, my intent was never to scare anybody. So I just wanted to clarify. Listen, does Parkinson's suck? Of course, it sucks. Listen, it robs you of everything you have, whether you fight it or not, every single day, every single second of every day. So I wouldn't wish it upon anybody. Even on the days where you have a ton of fight in you, it doesn't take a day off. But the truth is that that's not the only reason I've been to some pretty dark places. I mean, listen, I'm not perfect. Nobody is. Listen, due to my own selfish, what do you want to call them, insecurities, fears, I've made mistakes. Do I think Parkinson's had its hand in me making those mistakes? To some degree, yeah, but that's not an excuse. I mean, nothing will ever be an excuse to have to look the people you love in the eye and know that the hurt they're feeling is because of something that you created. I'll never go back there again. But ultimately, you're in charge of your own decisions, good and bad. They're completely up to you. So I don't want to scare you thinking that things I speak about are 100% due to Parkinson's, because they're not. I mean, they go hand in hand. But having said that, whether it be Parkinson's, bad decision making, or just bad luck, I mean, there's nothing wrong with it's the story here is more how you get out of it. And I think I could help a little bit with that. And I don't mind sharing that. I mean, listen, when I went down my dark road, I had very few people in my corner, very few. And I was a very good person. I was a great person. I was a giving person. I wasn't a bad person at all. But I think 99% of the people forgot that. Maybe they feel I deserve that. So it's okay. Maybe I did. And I'm not proud of that. But the reason I tell you that is because I want you to know that you could get out of it too. Listen, at some point, you have to forgive those people. If you're going to ask for forgiveness, you have to be willing to give it. You never forget the few people that were there collecting your tears when you needed them to. Those are your people. Nothing wrong with that. But yeah, again, you gotta move on at some point. Listen, the older I got, I don't want to say the wiser I got, obviously not. But I started changing some of the views I have that were taught to me as a young kid. I am not a believer at all in anything getting fixed in silence. I don't believe time heals all wounds. I don't believe time heals scars. I don't think time heals anything, to be honest with you. The only thing you can do with time is lose it. You can't add to it at all. You'll never get that time back. I think all hurts and all wounds leave scars. What I do believe in is that I think that, how can I say this? How much attention you give it and how you heal that scar is what people will see for the rest of your life. I think if you don't address them, they're going to look ugly forever. And it's going to be an ugly scar that you have to answer for the rest of your life. That doesn't have to be the case. I think if you address them quickly in a proper manner, and a scar could teach you something, and it could be beautiful. When people ask you how you got that scar, don't you want it to be a story of redemption and strength and with a happy ending? You don't want it to be a scar that you don't want to talk about or forget. I mean, that's the point. Your problems are never going to go away. Your scars are always going to be there. It's a matter of what do you want it to look like and how much work do you want to put in. Whether it's Parkinson's or people or anything else. I mean, do what you can to look in the mirror, look across the table at somebody and fix it, because otherwise it's going to consume you. It's going to consume your inner peace, and you're never going to be able to fight anything but that. And you're not going to win that anyway. Listen, I knew at some point hiding in a room was not going to solve anything. I was working at it. I was trying really hard, but no matter what I was doing, it wasn't working. And I was ready to give up. And that's when I kind of realized, well, I shouldn't say that. I realized down the road that maybe God just brings you to your knees because you're in the perfect position to pray. And in that moment, nothing else was working. I knew I needed faith. And what they say your whole life, that he'll always be there when you need him, was true, because he was there. So I let him in because I knew I couldn't do it alone, and I was giving up. And I think God knew I was such a stubborn SOB that the only way he was going to shake me up and let faith in is I just said, I can't believe I just said, shake me up. You see how this happens? See the correlation with Parkinson's? I got goosebumps now. So yeah, God literally had to shake me up literally for me to get to my knees to ask for help to be a better person. Anyway, see how that happens? So I, for the first time in my life, had to stop trying to control things. And Parkinson's will do that to you. I mean, another correlation, it robs you of your control of things. So everything seems to be fitting now. I mean, now I'm starting to realize it. But, once I just started sitting back, taking a moment, power the pause, not reacting in haste and, not being mad at people or Parkinson's for why I was dealing with it, things started getting a little better. I even like the word setback. The way I look at that, I think now I know it's just God's way of setting you back to reset because the path you were on just wasn't working for whatever reason. At some point you need to just stop the bleeding of whatever it is that got you there. Stop the digging. Pick up the pieces, move forward. You can't look back on your past if you're still back at the starting point. So the fact that you could possibly even look back on your mistakes or your good things means that you've made progress. I saw a podcast once. I think the guy said, "Don't let your worst chapter be your last chapter. Nobody can let their worst chapter define them. It cannot be your last chapter." Anybody who knows me knows I've always been a pretty competitive person. Any edge I could get to win something, I'll probably do it. And at some point, I think I had to view my mistakes and my Parkinson's and where I was as a competition. That was the only way I was going to fight my way out of it, with faith's help, 100%. But I said to myself, how am I going to win this? And I said, I have to, on the scoreboard, I have to take more from it than it's taking from me. And that's the only way I was going to win. So I started trying to be the best version of myself, the best way I knew how, with God by my side this time. I dove into my faith. I started practicing morning gratitude, mindfulness, living in the now. Started appreciating what I could get and what I've gained from Parkinson's and from the position that people would put me in or that I put myself in. I started trying to turn it around and being grateful for what I gained by those things. Made me realize how short life could be. I found a sense of peace. I found faith. I found strength. I found humanity. I found vulnerability, which I needed because it enhanced the senses that I use to protect my peace every day. I can feel it when people speak to me, and you've heard me before on video say, when people are true in my life and they speak to me, I don't just hear it, I feel it. I sit back and I just watch people's actions and I watch the world, and I now know I see better than anything. I know who if the building was burning again, who I would want next to me, or who would even be next to me, or who would just run. It's made me vulnerable enough to open up my doors to know I need help with support groups and like this beautiful Parkinson's community that has saved my life. It's made me want to help other people. It's made me a better person. And there's obviously a reason for that. And helping other people selfishly makes me feel better. So it makes me feel good about me. So there's even a selfish angle to that with helping people. But there's nothing ever wrong with helping people. Once I started doing all that, I started seeing a little progress in my life. The only way, again, you have the ability to look back is you have to be taking steps forward. Otherwise, there's nothing to compare. So I was taking baby steps. I started to build off that a little bit. Listen, I didn't mess my world up overnight, and I wasn't going to fix it overnight. There's no doubt about it. But I know now that God sometimes will just bring you to your breaking point because that's the only way you're going to let him in. And if you truly think about it, things that you need to live like sunlight, water, plants, trees, things have to break for that to happen. Clouds have to break for the sun to come through. A seed has to break under the ground for fruits and vegetables and trees to grow. It's just the way it is. So even though I was taking baby steps, no, it didn't matter. No matter what I knew Parkinson's or anybody was saying about me could do to me that day, I knew I was moving in the right direction. And that was important to me. Going on the right road, no matter how slow it was, no matter how frozen I would get at times, I was going the right place. And I knew that once I started concentrating more on where I was going, looking out the front glass of the car as opposed to looking in the mirror what was behind me. I was concentrating more on the good future as opposed to what I was just living in the past. The biggest eye opener for me, I'm not going to lie to you, I'll be very honest with you, happened a couple of nights ago. When my kids came over to the house and we were just talking, and they told me how proud they were of me, and they saw the work I was doing and how I need to forgive myself, and they know who I truly am in my heart. That moved me. That was the best gift anybody could ever give me. And listen, they've been doing it all along. It's not that they haven't been giving me that. It's that I just didn't want to believe it in myself because I hung up in my own crap. But it just hit me that time, and I'm starting to feel it. And at some point, you just got to stop crucifying yourself. Like I said, scars and hurts will always be there as a reminder. That's what they're meant to do, to remind you, so you don't go back to where you were. But it's what kind of reminder do you want it to be? You want it to remind you of a place that you never wanted to go to again, but you also want it to remind you of the strength that you had that you didn't know you had in the times that you needed it. And like I said, things didn't change in a bad way overnight, and they're certainly not going to get fixed overnight. So it's a long process. But again, it'll get healed in the proper fashion and in the proper time, depending upon the work you put into it. So listen, I experience hell every day with this Parkinson's. I know you guys do. I wouldn't wish it upon my worst enemy, but I don't have any enemies. But just remember, as much as it hurts, you woke up today. That was a chance. Nobody owed you that. If you woke up, that means somebody's work is not done with you yet. There's a reason you woke up. There's a relationship to fix. Somebody to inspire, work to do, reinvent yourself maybe. I don't know. Nobody knows that answer, but only you do. But the one thing I can tell you is, if you're at the bottom, you got nowhere to go but up. And even with my slow foot drags, even if I got to take it one slow foot drag at a time, it doesn't matter as long as you're moving in the right direction. That's the best advice I can give you. I love you guys.